We are seeing about the actual verdict here, and just for the I want to understand, count one was the most serious charge, carrying up to a life sentence. He has been found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy RICO, not guilty. He's also been found not guilty of sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. She testified for days. We're also learning that he's been found guilty of the transportation to engage in prostitution count involving Cassie Ventura. He has been found not guilty of sex trafficking of Jane, who is the girlfriend that he was dating as well, and guilty of the transportation to engage in prostitution. Now, Elizabeth, this is very, very significant. We had an inkling yesterday when there was a hung jury on the initial RICO charge, the most serious, that there might be an actual acquittal there or a hung jury. The prosecution insisted on having it keep going. The defense wanted it to keep going. And now we know they have a result. It is a not guilty verdict. Talk to me more broadly here, because the Prostitution Act, people thought it was kind of a low-hanging fruit. He was found guilty of those, but not sex trafficking of Cassie.
This is the best possible outcome for the defense. This is what, of course they wanted a full acquittal, but if you're not getting a full acquittal, this is what they wanted. Their client is now not facing life in prison. He is facing 2 separate charges that he was convicted on. Serious charges. They each carry a maximum of 10 years. So this isn't nothing that we are talking about, but the most serious charges he has been acquitted on. As Laura said, days of testimony from Cassie Ventura, from Jane, Cassie being on the stand for 4 days, Jane being on the stand for 6 days, these women crying, breaking down on the stand. Well, guess what? The jury did not believe most of their story, or even if they believed most of their story, it did not line up with those charges. So,
and by the way, on that point, let's talk a little bit about that, because there was an inkling for those people who had been in the courtroom, including ourselves, who had been watching the testimony. Remember what they were using as the defense to counter the sex trafficking. It was free will. They were talking about free will, and they were suggesting, while the prosecution said any bait and switch or manipulation to coerce these women by fraud or threat or otherwise to engage in these so-called freak-offs, that force, that cloud of force and threat and violence that had hung over the head of Cassie Ventura was enough to suggest that she never could develop the free will to say no. And when it came to Jane, the idea of manipulating her to travel to places like New York under the pretenses of quality time and shopping, only to then engage in freak-offs, was enough of manipulation. Well, the defense, was very clear. They kept saying free will. These are grown women making grown-up decisions who have an interest in engaging in this behavior. It seems that the jurors, maybe looking at text messages or testimony, agreed with that sentiment.